Well, that was a bit of a chaos, but no problem, because I'm fresh, so I can handle all these flexible things. Welcome back, or welcome if you just start joining us. We are EIBTM in Barcelona, and you are watching the live stream of the Fresh track. Fresh is a brand. It's a design. It's a conference in Copenhagen in January, and Fresh stands for Innovative New Meeting Designs. Well, hybrid meeting designs is part of that, and that's the subject of the session today. Ruud Jansen is leading it. You might have heard about him. He is the hybrid meeting expert, and he is leading this session, which is specifically about the pain in the neck of the online audience. So, as a conference organizer or an event organizer, how much pain do you have from your online audience? Well, this is a funny question to ask to you because you are the online audience now. So let us know what you think about it during the session. Ruud will specifically address some questions to you, describe some pains people can have when they organize hybrid meetings, and he will ask you to reflect on that and to give your answers as well. Well, I will post some documents about meetings, doing it in a hybrid way. Well, now we are talking together. I will stop, and so you can focus on the session with Ruud. Have fun and keep on tweeting using EIBTM Hybrid.
And welcome to this session, which is called, awkwardly enough, Are Remote Participants a Pain in the Neck? The remote participant will actually be, I think it's a table over there. Yeah, very good. So we need a couple of speakers. Who wants, this is a very interesting, the most fragile connection is on this table. Okay? And maybe it's so fragile that nobody wants to sit here. But I encourage one or two people to join Martin here on this table. This, yes, please feel free. Yeah. And we still have some people coming in. The friends will be coming in. So today, I'm going to ask our technical team for a minute. So Mr. Paul van Herk, are you with us? Because he's both being the technical producer, he's got a role as a host, plus he's trying to run the session. It's almost as hard as being a speaker. So let's see if we can get a signal up on the screen here, so we can talk you through the hypothesis of where we're going. We've got the desk up here connected. And the objective of today, so you see this huge watch out projection here in the back, right? Anybody use these types of projections before in their conferences? Like really big, wide projections beyond the normal screen? Anybody use them? I can highly recommend them. They're fantastic. You can do all sorts of crazy things with them. And you see the panels that are up here. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing today is when we were preparing this session, here you can see one of our online meetings that we had to prepare this conference. We were coming up with how do you now experience a hybrid event with people that are hybrid, so welcome to the hybrid audience. We really appreciate you spending the time away from lunch to join us in Barcelona. It's 1 o'clock, 10 past 1 here right now. And we really would like you to join because we need your opinion, whether you're a pain in the neck or whether we have pain relievers that we can put to use, okay? So when we were designing this session, one of the interesting things that happened is that whilst being hybrid, we needed to make a design for this session, right? So you've got a number of presets. Martin in the meeting design session this morning talked about atomic, right? You have ingredients that you can use. But one of the ingredients that we knew we had was this projection. We knew that we had roundtables with 8 people in the room. We had no idea how many people would be here. And we wanted to create a hybrid session with hybrid participants as well, who could have just as well have been in a studio, which is about, just a little corner of this room with just some lights and a backdrop, right? We would have used much less square meterage, but then we wouldn't have had you in the room. And the good news is you are delivering the content, okay? So we have flipped the model, we have flipped the classroom, we have flipped the conference room. You're responsible for the content. So I don't need to do anything except moderate a process. So this looks really kind of complicated. If you were paying attention online on the hashtag EIBTM hybrid, okay, so hashtag EIBTM hybrid, if you want to tweet anything to the room, will be monitored. Gerdy is here. We have all sorts of Twitter streams and thingies set up. I've got some devices. Welcome to send your pictures of where you are right now and what you're doing. But this session design is available. You could have watched it being developed if you were paying attention. But many people, before they go to a session, really all they note down is what time does it start, what's the room that I need to be in, and what are my alternatives. Right? That's the things people think about. And usually they do that when they get on the plane, or when they get off the plane, or better yet, after breakfast this morning, or over lunch this afternoon. So I don't, apologies if you haven't seen this. You don't need to have seen this to understand what we're going to be doing. But if you'd like to view back how this session was created, it's available, and we'll tweet it out again. The hypothesis we will be testing today, this will be a scientific experiment, is the following. EIBTM hybrid meetings are remote participants a pain in the neck. Look out for wildly innovative pain relievers. And when we designed it, I had the wrong hashtag, so I dashed away to 13, right? So it's not EIBTM 13 hybrid, it's EIBTM hybrid, okay? The events hashtag for the whole event is EIBTM 13, okay? The learner outcomes is learning to explore the perspectives of the stakeholders at hybrid events. We've got 5 perspectives in the room right now. You will be their conscience. Explore a select number of the 11 functions of communication that are very specific to hybrid events. And then we have the analysis of the most common problems encountered and tips to resolve them. You may have experienced some of them already. And then we'll explore a case study of the Fresh conference and how it applied that in practice, right? So many of the people in the room were part of that experience and will be giving that content and those components. Now, there are many perspectives in a hybrid event. The gentleman behind the camera sees something like this, except not the pretty ladies, he has to look at my face. But originally what we said is, when we look at the perspectives, this needs to be researched, and there is a research piece. If you want to read it, you can find it on the Hybrid Toolkit, bit.ly Hybrid Toolkit. This is research done by the MPI Foundation and Mediasite, supported by the Meeting Support Institute and University of Derby and Interactive Meetings Technologies and TNOC. And all of these things have been documented with case studies. But today, we're going to zoom into one component. Okay, so this little component here, which could be easily overlooked, but is the critical, in my view, is the holy grail to understand. And the good news is, all of the content you already know. You only may not have experienced or explored it yet. And that's what we're going to do in this session. So here are all the answers of today, which we're going to skip really quickly, because that's too easy. You need to think about this more deeply and come up with better outputs than we had in this research, because this research was done last year. And it's going to be a bit of a lottery, because we have time for 4 functions of communication that we'll be dealing with, and there's a total of 11. Okay, so we're going to randomize and find out which components will work for you. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to see if we can show what success looks like at the end of the conference, at the end of the session, right? Because if you design with the end in mind, you know what you want to achieve, right? And currently you're just sitting going, this is really boring. I don't know if I'm going to like this session. Let's get on with it, okay? Now, last time I asked the same question, I would like to ask you, what would you look like if you had just won the lottery, okay? So think about that moment, right? You just won the lottery. The last ball comes out, and here's that moment that all of a sudden, all your financial nightmares are put to rest, and you can do anything you'd like, and you're going to plan all the most terrific hybrid events that you can have, okay? A group that I asked this before did something like this. They jumped up in the air all together with their hands up in the air, and it was a phenomenal picture, yeah? Everybody really liked the picture. So I'd like to ask this audience, what would you look like if you had just won the lottery? And hold on before you all get up and start jumping. Are you going to join me or not? Come on. Let's this is kind of your post-lunch activation moment. Maybe like this. So on the count of 3, I want to see that moment, yeah, what it's going to look like. And I need to find a good angle so I can take the picture here. Hold on, I'm going to go behind the screen. Okay. No, it's still not a good angle. Different angle yet. So on the count of 3, show me what it looks like when you have just won the lottery. 1, 2, 3. I like this one. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to send this picture to the guys at the production desk. Is that okay? Yeah? So I send it to you, Paul? Yeah? So I'm going to send it to Paul, and Paul is going to make sure it's going to come on this big backdrop. So don't let anybody tell you can't do things on site, right? Everything can be done on site. It's only an absolute nightmare for the one that's producing the event. But backdrops are very flexible. Here we go, Paul van Herk at Abbott's and emptied subject. Actual size, there we go. Yes?
Now let's do the same with online participants.
Oh yes, that's a good idea. So what were you doing while we were jumping up in the room? What would you do if you had the lottery? Show us, take a picture, and tweet it out. And we will see if we can put it up on the screen by the time we finish. Okay? Does that sound like a plan? Ah, and my wife is texting me there's people from Abbott in the room. She's saying, welcome back. They pulled my leg. They were telling my wife they were in the room. Good. That's a different Abbott from the Abbott that's here, by the way. They make pain relievers. So I think we've got this all figured out. We have all the different roles. Now it's important to introduce the real people that will be doing the work, which is the different perspectives. Okay? So we have the meeting owner. Meeting owners, please identify yourselves. Over there. Good. We have the speakers. Speakers are over on this table. Would you please join the speakers table? It's very important that you're at a table. Yes, people in the third row, please join the tables in the first and second row. Thank you. And I'm going to throw 3 basics at you before I introduce your hosts. Paul, did you receive the photo? Not yet? Okay, it's on its way out, so bear with me. It's a good photo. So imagine that the building blocks for hybrid events are almost like these little very simple circles, right? So when we did this research, we kind of defined that to build hybrid events, I don't want to be thinking about wires and cables and all sorts of complicated things. It needs to be like I was 7 years old again with my box of Lego in front of me. And so we drew these little components, and these are the building blocks of hybrid events. This is all you need. It's as simple as that. And then what you start doing is you start assembling your hybrid events. So imagine that you had this live session, and then we have individual participants that are across the world looking at this session. And you have people maybe getting together in smaller groups of people, people that get together at a different destination, which we would call a pod, right? Which could be something like this. And here we drew a single arrow, which means that we are only streaming out from here to them. They can't talk back at us. Okay? They have no voice, except for Twitter or channels they decide to use. Now you could change all these dynamics, and you can probably think about 20,000 versions of how you could create these. And all you need to do is go to the slide share about this. If you go to that link, and I'm happy to send that to you, you can print out a toolkit, put it on your table, and start designing your hybrid event. Okay? Just pieces of paper with arrows in different ways. So quick review. One-way communication from here outside the room. Two-way communication, we send out from here, and we ask others to send back into the room, so we could look in their room. Third one, on demand. You could look at this session after lunch, or when you wake up tomorrow morning. In the case of Australia, who are now in the middle of the night and would not be able to join this session because it's not at a time when they would normally be awake. And then the near real time, which could be with a delay of 2 or 3 seconds. So most probably the live stream that you're receiving has a slight latency of 1-2 minutes, yeah, roughly. Probably shorter. Paul will probably know the exact answer on that, but somewhere usually in a couple of 10, 20 seconds, sometimes 5. Katie, have you got any feedback? What's the latency? 20 seconds? Yeah, so what we say here, 20 seconds later, is received on the other end. Good. Are we comfortable with these little drawings and these things? You won't need this today, by the way. This is just so you know what the building blocks are. So we took a picture of what success looks like when you won the lottery. These are the 11 functions of communication, and we need to select 4. Okay? Any questions on the format? This is the first time we're trying this, by the way. It may be painful. I'd like to introduce host number 1, Stefania Contivecchi. And Stefania here is joining the table for the online participant. Is that right,
yes.
Stefania? So what I did is I went onto LinkedIn and just kind of quickly grabbed some of the things that Stefania does in her life and created her digital footprint, which looks something like this. if you put it through.
Stefania, very much, as you can see, I do.
And you're right in the middle. You're smack in the center. You know where you are. You participate in a lot of online events.
Yes.
You speak at events. You have many different roles.
Exactly.
So you're going to be kind of the voice, not just the voice of the table, but you're going to be helping this table come up with the first answers.
Yes, I will. I'm sorry, I need to go earlier than the end of this long session because I have another one, so I can stay here for 20
Which is
minutes.
good, so you can be the actual remote participant.
I will be a remote participant.
Excellent.
From
So
the
she's
other
starting
room
in the room and
front
then
of
she's going
this
outside
room.
of the room.
So
Okay? But I don't know if you can speak and monitor another session at the same time. That's difficult.
Okay, I'm a woman, so I'm multitasking, you know. I can.
Excellent. All the men, the rest of your hosts, I'm sorry, I need to admit, except for Gerdy, are men. So this next one is not interesting. We'll go to this one. Maarten van Este. Maarten over here is going to be the meeting owner. He owns the Fresh conference, and he's created this little nightmare for, or can I say that?
Yes.
A meeting can be painful, right? Doing a meeting can sometimes be very painful. But how does it work for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. To organize a meeting, I think I'm totally amazed by what these meeting planners do. Because I used to be on the other side as a supplier of technical services. Now being the meeting owner is like, oh my God, how do these people do this? It's a real big experience, yeah.
Good, so Maarten's going to help the meeting owner perspective and how you look at that function of communication, okay?
Good.
And I'd like you, when you think about the case study, when you think about the application of that function of communication, I'd like you to try to think about a conference like Fresh. Fresh happens to take place in Copenhagen, in Denmark, in early part of the year, right, in January, where people travel from all across the world, but very much across Europe to go there. You have a little bit of a program you see actually on the table, I think. And it's an event about meeting formats, right? So things are being experimented with and all sorts of interesting components happen there. So imagine when you're thinking about this event that you are the meeting owner of the Fresh conference, or you're a participant or a speaker or a remote online participant, etc. Maarten Ferre-Thomsen, CEO of Conferize, has done a couple of events. Now he's even printing his jacket, I think, with his brand. So he's, he really looks the part as well. Maarten, tell us about your role and how you're going to help this table.
Well, the speakers are the most important people in the room. They generate the content, and they are distinguished delegates as well. I see them sort of as the power users of any conference. I've been speaking quite a few times myself, and I just hate speaking in front of an empty room. So I'm really interested in the whole remote aspect. So how can I reach more people through online media? And hopefully we can, dig into that from this table here.
Very good. So I'll start with disagreeing that the speakers are the most of people providing content. It is true at many conferences, right? At this one, let's pretend it's not the case.
I'm playing the role.
Just for now, okay? But it is true that content bringers are omnipresent. They're everywhere. And that's the biggest change that's happening. And it's dramatic, it's phenomenal, but it's very difficult, okay? Unless you start doing it. So, yes, Gerdy. Okay, let's make sure Gerdy gets a mic, because otherwise nobody... Hey, there he is. Look at this. So let's just make sure Gerdy has a mic, because otherwise the people at home will not hear the comments.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is a remotely self-shooted camera, a selfie it's called, I think.
I know this guy, Julien Carlier in Paris, I think he
That's
is. He was here
correct.
yesterday, but he couldn't be here. He said, join online.
He is joining online, yeah.
Hi, Julien, how are you? Excellent. So, I think you just won the lottery. And Gerdy, by the way, is what we would call the person that links to the online audience, right? So she's the remote moderator, the virtual moderator. She's not virtual because she's in the room, but she represents the voice of the remote audience, okay? And it's very important to keep them connected because their distraction levels are much higher than what we have in the room, right? You may be tempted to look at your phone. They have a whole lot of other kit that they can use. Excellent. And then here we have a man with something on his head. Paul van Herk. Let's switch back to the signal here. So Paul is actually doing like 3 things at the same time, which men are not supposed to do, but Paul is exceptional. Yeah. Paul, tell us about the perspective that you're going to look at and the wonderful world that you live in.
Well, I'm a technical producer, so it will be the technical aspects of making a hybrid meeting. all the pitfalls that can turn up and things that you have to take in account, and be careful that you don't do wrong things.
So it's very important that you build trust and understanding for all the things that they have to deal with, because the better you understand what they do, you don't have to know about what buttons to push or what things to do, but you have to know how to communicate what you need, okay? And articulating what you'd like it to look like, the design of your meeting, your building blocks. If you can tell them what you're looking for, they can find 20 solutions to make it work at different price levels. The supply chain is ready for this. It's just the organizers, the speakers, the participants are not yet fully ready. And we're exploring that now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
Daunting task. Thanks for being here. And then we have a very important perspective, which is the conscience of what's happening in the room, right? And you have no host because you are who you are, right? You're exactly representing the on-site participant. And the on-site participant, how do you think they would feel if there's a big camera moving in front of them and all of a sudden it's like, oh, time out because we lost the stream and we're going to continue in 10 minutes, right? We'll be right back with you. That's a very different perspective as well. Why should I? They're a pain in the neck, right? Are they? Let's see if we can prove that. So, yes, let's grab the mic here and make sure we talk in the mic.
Sorry for interrupting. Hello. I have a little experience.
If you could tell us your name and where you're from.
My name is Helen. I'm from a company Yandex Ukraine.
Yes.
We have an experience in organizing some hybrid meetings.
Yes.
And it often happens that people in the room,
Yes.
the watching translation, online translations,
Okay.
by the devices,
Yes.
because I don't know why it has happened, because of the geeks maybe. It very often happens that they tweeting and watching video and communicate
Whilst they're at the conference.
more communicate online than offline with the people around them.
Okay, so here's the competency of the person in the room. Can they actually talk to other people? Or have they lost the art of conversation and are only dialoguing online, right? And how does that interface? Interesting concept. Let's bring back up the screen here so we can start the lottery. And I'll explain a couple of simple rules of play. There we go. So without revealing the answers, what I'd like to do is I'm going to plant the seed and it's going to look something like this. From the lottery, we're going to pick one little ticket, right? So here are the lottery tickets. It's got 11 functions of communication in it. And I'll shuffle the deck so we can take one of these. And after we take one of these, I'd like you to take the concept, okay? So an example, anonymity, right? If you talk about anonymity, do I know who's speaking or not, right? How do you use that concept from the perspective of the technical producer, from the perspective of the online person? Can I just comment anonymously and, you know, nobody knows who I am? Just create a new avatar or not log in and still give a comment? Send somebody else's picture and say, this is what I look like today, right? From the on-site participant. You're going to be looking at that one perspective of communication and how that could, what function that has in an example of a conference like Fresh, which has how many people going to the conference now?
Up to 200.
Up to 200 people. Online participation?
Could be 50.
50, yeah. Could be something different. Scalability is one of those things that we have here, right? So those are the ingredients that you have to work with. And if you just join us in the room, I'm going to be using my first name and ask you to come forward a little bit to one of the tables. If you could ask you to join this table here up front. I won't pick on you, don't worry. If you could join us here, please, because it's important that you have a role. You will be leaving soon, okay. So you can be our online participant after the session, maybe, and give us your comments. So feel free to join the table here. So this table is the participant session. In every round, we'll have 1 minute to kind of think about the concept, talk about the concept a little bit. 4 minutes at your table to explore the concept from just your perspective, right? What could you do with that concept? And then 4 minutes of feeding back, okay? Gives us 10 minutes per round. 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. Okay. Whatever the speaker says, always challenge it, right? It's not always correct. Google it while it's happening. This is what's happening in conferences today. I'm sorry, Mr. Professor, that's incorrect information. You've misquoted that speaker. Listen carefully, think about your thoughts, have the discussion. Don't assume that your host is going to be doing the speaking only. We want everybody to have a voice, okay? You're all speakers here. but also the technical people have a voice. And you do too. Good. Any questions on the format? And in the meantime, while I shuffle these, I'd like to ask you, how much time would we need if we need to cover all 11 of these topics? Sorry?
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah, so 11 times 9, 99 minutes. Good. Can I ask somebody to pick one? Just pick one of these topics and see where we land up. Would you pick a topic, please? There we go. What is that? What do you see on that little picture? I'm going to run through the mic here. Talk to us about the picture there. Depth. Depth. Okay, so that's on the next slide. So depth, what does that mean, depth? Let's explore that concept a little bit. So depth, right? So which one is it? It's the, let's see, the last one. This one. Oh, those are the answers, this one. There we go. Depth. Let's think about depth for a minute. Think about it from your perspective. And I'd like you to think about the concept of what you're actually here to do. You're trying to learn something. You're trying to have good conversations, deep connections, or shallow connections. Think about the concept of depth, right? Is everybody clear on the concept of depth? Think about it for 30 seconds, just in your own mind. Don't talk to your neighbor yet. Think about depth. Think about a really good conversation you had recently, maybe. What was it? What were the characteristics? Why did it feel like it was a good conversation? Okay. Take 4 minutes out your table and explore it from your perspective. So speakers, what are you going to do with the depth of the subject or the depth of the interaction? What are you going to do here with the meeting owners? How deep do you want to go into design and other stuff, right? You're going to talk about the depth of how much depth can I explore as an on-site participant with my other on-site participants, right? The depth of the conversation. How intense can I go from being remote or getting together in a group and watching the event and talking about the event? What does depth mean? The depth of conversation. From this perspective. So it's easy for you. Yeah, just for your perspective. So you're thinking about the depth from a technical production angle, right? So how much from your technical producer role, so you have the role of that Paul has, how deep can you go? Okay?
Well, it's quite a difficult subject, depth, or how you perceive depth in a technical way is how deep you go in all the details that you need to prepare in advance during the online participation. So it does is because a lot of people like you say you only use email, not social media.
And while we talk about depth, I was asked remote participants as well. Think about the depth of conversation. How does depth of conversation help you, or what could you do with that from your angle? Can you influence the discussion in the room of what the speaker is saying? How much conversation are you having about the depth of the conversation? And think about those concepts and tweet us out at #EOTMHybrid, your ideas of how deep you can concentrate on, for instance, a topic or on the conversation that's happening. So while the tables are working, each has a perspective. So we have the perspective of technical production, the online participant. We have the remote participant and the speakers. And we have the meeting owners over on that side. Gerdy, how's it going so far?
Yeah, well, people are busy, but they cannot hear you very well, so you need this microphone.
Very good.
And I was just on my way to do the same, so...
Okay, excellent. So is this live feed? So that's a good point. Thank you for sharing that. Audio is very important and difficult to get right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll just repeat a little bit what you just said, that we're talking about depth in conversations, and the difference between being physically here or being an online participant.
Yeah.
And then it's stated here why it's relevant. Hybrid events create opportunities for smaller groups to engage and reach more depth in discussions. Dialogue can be further enhanced by using collaborative tools and techniques. Well, what is your experience on that one? Please share it with the hashtag EIBTM hybrid. Is there
Excellent.
anything you want to add on that?
I think I'm trying to think of really good, deep conversation you have at events, right? When do those take place? Because you need time for it, you need the time to excavate a good conversation, right? Sometimes when you quickly meet and a session starts, you can just say, oh, who are you, where are you from, when did you arrive? But when did you really have a good, in-depth conversation?
At the bar?
At the social events,
Yeah, the social
outside of
events.
the actual program.
And I think the added value regarding depth is the conversations which take place before and after the event
Okay.
online.
Yeah.
I think that's a great added value.
So you could have explored some of these topics before, whilst we had, shared the session design. Maybe we shared the slide deck, and you could have already started discussion about that. And then you could have gotten a group of 4 or 5 people over lunch, maybe together at this session, and comment as a group whilst we are talking about something, because the people behind the camera don't actually disturb the conversation in the room, right? So you could be doing a presentation here and still have a conversation there.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
I think that's the big added value.
Well, let's see what the others
Yeah.
are thinking. We have another minute left for this conversation round.
Okay, good. Well, I'll just go back to my computer to see your comments on the hashtag EIBTM hybrid.
Okay, I have another 30 seconds to wrap up this. Come up with some key points that you'd like to share with your colleagues. So how's it going from the participants' perspective? Thank you for joining us. Just to explain the concept, feel free to join us. Yes, this is about hybrid events, so feel free to join. This is the table where we look at the remote participant perspective, okay? So thank you for coming in. Okay, so the first round of conversations at your table, that was 4 minutes. How deep was the conversation in 4 minutes? It's so deep they want to keep going? Yeah, the online? Okay, okay. Let's take 30 seconds and wrap up this part of the conversation. Feel free to join us. You're going from online participants to on-site. Thank you. Don't be shy. We won't bite. Take 30 seconds and wrap up 2 or 3 things that from your perspective are relevant in the speaker's role, in the technical role, online participant role, the participant on site, right? What is the participant on site? How can you have a deep conversation? What does it take to have a really good conversation? Should it be 5 people, 2 people, 3 people? How much time does it take? Think of the qualities of that conversation. Good. Everybody ready for some feedback? And Gerdy, in the meantime, is checking. Gerdy is checking whether the online participants are giving us any feedback about a deep conversation and how to have one in a hybrid meeting. And we'll take 4 minutes to collect some feedback now. Okay. If you raise both hands, people stop talking. It's very curious. Nobody ever does that. It's crazy, but it's raise your hands. Stop talking. It has nothing to do with the gun, by the way. It's just a natural built-in phenomenon we have. So whenever you're facilitating a big group of people and you want them to be quiet, raise both hands and go. If you can hear me, raise both hands. You just walk around like this. Everybody raises their hands and everybody stops talking. Okay? Practice it. It's a good skill to have. Okay, so who wants to go first? Who had a really deep conversation in 4 minutes? You did? The online participants did.
Can we do ours so I can run away? Yeah?
You want to really become a remote participant?
Yeah, I need it.
Oh, you are a bit of a pain in the neck, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. We are.
So before you start talking, if you qualify on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 being extremely deep, 1 being quite a shallow conversation, what do you consider the conversation you had at the table to be? Just a number.
5.
Yeah, I was thinking 5.
5?
3.
3? 6. And you were looking from the perspective of now being in the room having a conversation? Or were you looking at, we are in separate locations and we're looking at this session and we're having an in-depth conversation? What is the qualifying criteria, the first or the second?
Probably the second.
Okay. Is that true? Okay, yeah. So what would it take to improve the quality of that conversation, right? Think of that thing. But first, let's go to the conversation. What were the key outputs, Stefania?
So we had an interesting point of view. The topic was not exactly the one that was interesting for our table, so we changed it. We had a...
Really
it's not me, it's coming from, the table, absolutely.
Very good.
So democratically, we decided to discuss... and anonymously.
Anonymously, you decided to change the topic.
We dared to change the topic because we were anonymous.
You went off topic. Very good.
Only for this reason.
And do you think that delivered a better conversation than if it had stayed on topic?
Yeah, well, we were more interested because the other team was more interesting to us.
Okay, because in this case, I selected a topic, and then you said, I don't like his topic, let's do my topic, right? Okay.
Exactly, but I think you can summarize our debates because it was very interesting the way you moderated.
Okay.
So Stefania moderated an online conversation. Was that necessary, do you feel, for 4 men? The woman has to step in and moderate the discussion? Yeah?
Now we had an interesting discussion about, the way you can interact with, or the chance you have the same opportunities when you are connected remotely, even if you need to change topic. So if you are here, you can raise your hand, you can in some way ask
for attention.
Speaker.
I can't see them.
Yeah. So if you are connected remotely, you have a voice. If you have a good moderator taking care of the tools you give them, to interact in real time.
Yes.
So that was one important point we discussed. And sometimes, even if you want to do it anonymously, so your contribution is important. If you can keep your,
privacy?
Yeah, privacy, let's say.
Okay.
And the other point was that sometimes, as we experience it, people are shy and they use the same tool that you are giving for remote participants where they are on site to share their contribution, their questions, or that was one of our points.
Excellent, excellent. Let's keep thinking about this debate. Because the gents are going, but they have the fear of picking up the microphone, do you see? They probably prefer to use Twitter or something else, or see, they're taking notes and they're writing things.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back. The good news is, guys, Stefania has to leave us, unfortunately.
Yeah, so
we'll have one less pain in the neck in the room, yes,
Yeah.
but we still have to prove whether you were or were not a pain in the neck. But thanks, Stefania, for your contributions.
Thank you,
Thank
Ruud.
you.
I give my seat to Gerdy. I
Gerdy
give you good hands.
will now go to the online participant role. Yeah, so online participants, good news. Here we are, right? In-depth conversations. Gerdy's taking over from Stefania.
Okay, thank you.
Question from an
We have an online question.
For me or?
Okay. The question, do you want to have the
Thanks,
question
Stefania.
now?
Shoot the question. No, hold on. Let me ask the conscience in the room. Participants in the room, would you like to have more questions from outside, or do you have more questions that you want to ask first? You paid your trip and dues, and you traveled all the way to Barcelona. And did they get a favor? Are they first, or are you first? What do you think?
Let them be first.
Let them be first. Courtesy, they're spending their free time too. Okay, let's give them a chance.
Good. The question is coming from. That's not a person.
Anonymous.
It's Curvebox HQ. How can online participants keep the dialogue going post-event? So
How
after
can I
the
keep
event?
the dialogue going post-event? Well, we're still in the event, dear remote participant. So it's a very good question. Think about it with your colleagues that are also remotely whilst we go on with the event here in the room, if you don't mind, because you're very much disturbing what's happening in the room, and your question is very disruptive. Okay? As a matter of fact, this is my timer that you can hear in my pocket, which means our 4 minutes of discussion that we were going to have is now already finished. Okay? So time flies when you pay attention to the remote participants. Okay. What do we do now? Meeting owner. Let me please consult the meeting owner over on this side of the room. Meeting owner, what is your view on the depth of conversation? Did you have a deep conversation? I'm gonna pass the mic around because the meeting owner has to have a very strong voice. Okay. So let me hear some things that you discussed here. I'll leave it on the table. Pick it up.
We were actually having a
I'm going to ask you to wait for a minute.
Well, I'm going to introduce him.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
We had a deep conversation about deep conversation. So this is his topic.
Deep conversation about deep conversation.
Yes.
So you explored the topic.
So we were discussing if it's even possible for an online participant to really get deeply engaged with the other attendees, because like the formats that you're using, where we turn around and we discuss for 2 or 3 minutes about some topic and we discuss about the problems.
Can they do the same thing? Yes or no? That's what you were asking.
That was our question, if this is possible, and then we came up with maybe a few alternatives which could help to achieve that. One was that we could say, okay, Julie and Thomas would connect through Skype and discuss for 3 minutes over Skype the same thing as I would discuss with Martin here.
Okay.
Or they could have a Twitter stream and just throw ideas there and kind of like...
So you thought of channels to connect the outside participants?
Yeah, yeah.
To have them have the same discussion.
But the big issue there was that because when we are sitting next to each other, we kind of develop instinctively the trust,
yes.
and then we can start discussing deeply. But if you're online, even if I see you over Skype, this trust might be missing, and without the trust, it's very hard to go deep.
So the first trust button is, do I accept the Skype incoming connection, yes or no, right? You have a yes-no answer. Here, somebody starts talking to you. Can you choose not to listen? Well, you could, but it's extremely rude, right?
I think there was one more point.
You spoke about facilitation?
So we have facilitation as a topic here as well?
Yeah, we also discussed the depth of the content.
Yes.
Okay, obviously, I mean, the speakers are then very important to deliver the depth and make it interesting for the online participants to stay online.
To stay glued.
And what can we do to further this interaction? And it would be like a hybrid panel as well to keep the attention span of the hybrid participants going.
Okay. Okay. So you would have so the outside remote participant would have a relationship with somebody that's on a panel that could be remote or could be on site, but have a one-on-one conversation almost.
Or sending in questions remotely and things like that, or
being
even have the panel discussing something live. Both also the speakers or one of the speakers being hybrid, doing it like that way.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to go to the technical producers for a minute because I'm conscious of time, and we had, remember, 9 minutes to do each topic. We're already running a little bit over. So nice idea. Let's do a panel and interconnect all these people and see if we can get, the last topic was getting questions from the outside to be projected and kind of switch the audio and stuff. Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it, technical producers?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much fun would that be?
Very much fun, yeah.
So what's the most difficult part of producing what the meeting owner just asked, or when you think of the depth of how you're involved in the conspiracy, the hybrid event, how deep does that put you into trouble?
You need to have the technology available, or the software, or whatever channels you're going to use. Chatbox or Skype was mentioned. And of course a stable connection, internet connection is for the online people crucial. Also the depth of preparation is very important.
So hold on, Paul, I'm going to interrupt really quickly because our very disruptive meeting owners have just established a Skype connection, I think, and involved somebody from the outside. So it's a do-it-yourself technology, right? It's very easy. So let's hear everybody. Can everybody just kind of listen in on that conversation? How would that work? Could you just do that really quickly?
Not very quickly, but it's I can connect it.
What are some of the difficulties that you would run into?
if you're prepared and you have if you prepare yourself and you have the laptop or whatever connected to the system, then you can to the real live system here. Then
so he needs a video feed. He needs an audio feed.
Yeah.
The audio feed needs to go to them as well, and they have a delay of 20 seconds. Remember, right?
Yeah.
So the conversation there arrives later than it's here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what if you would patch the sound through to this and wait for an answer from somebody there? You're losing 20 seconds of time.
Well, not in a Skype connection, but in a normal stream connection or webcast connection like we have now. Indeed, there is a 20-second or maybe sometimes more delay, and that makes voice communication, of course, not really.
Involves something like this.
Yeah.
Stopped.
It stopped. Yeah.
He hung up.
So
with voice, no. But then
so, dear speaker, you have just taken a 20-second break from your line of thought. Yeah. You're talking about things, and you're really you're in the midst of this conversation, very good conversation, and all of a sudden this meeting owner pulls out his bring it your own device and starts connecting stuff to show that it can be done and challenges the technical producer. How does that make you feel from your depth of presentation mode and things you do? And I'm sorry I'm interrupting you there, but I'm bringing it back to this table for a second. How does that make you feel here on this table?
Nervous.
Nervous? Yeah. We put the mic in the middle, so feel free to interrupt. Speakers are comfortable with mics. They're happy to speak through the mic. They love the sound of their own voice.
We said, I'm Sabine from Medal Innsbruck, Austria, corporate meeting planner. We said that probably we need to train the speakers to be able to interact with the audience that is online.
Yeah.
And
so
also
actually, Sabine, can I ask you to turn around and face the camera for a minute?
Okay.
See what it looks like to the on-site participant for a minute.
Hello.
So all of a sudden, do you feel just as connected to the speaker as just now? She's now facing the camera, talking to them. You paid a fortune to come to the conference. What's this?
Yeah. So you would have to train them really to move around and feel comfortable with that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, the depth becomes a challenge, right? You want to deepen by having more connections, and then they want to deepen by just saying, we'll change the topic, right? And you want to deepen by talking to them and trying to balance on my story and everything else. And then he's trying to figure out, well, the meeting owner came up with something new, which they always do, right? The meeting always comes up with something new. And if it's not the meeting owner, it's usually the speakers, right? Or then the participants come up with something new. And I'm going to go to the participants for a minute here and ask them about the depth of conversation. So what is the depth of conversation that you've had? You didn't have to worry about all those people there. You didn't have to worry about those people over there. You just had a nice conversation at your table. Did you? More or less. You arrived a little bit late, so you felt a bit, what's happening here? What am I participating in? Am I disrupting the movie? Am I walking onto a stage set and... Yeah, how did that make you feel? Hold on, we need a mic because participants always fear the mic. So I'm going to run up to them. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be rude and hold the mic to you. And one of the techniques that speakers should learn is that never give away the mic because they could go on for hours.
So you're going to be holding like that, way?
Yes, I would, yes.
So you want to know what I feel when I joined
Yes.
You feel kind of weird because you don't know what's going on.
Yes.
So you don't know what's... No, I mean, maybe because we came too late. So
yeah,
the reason why I don't understand the topic, what we're discussing, what we're talking about, so what am I supposed to do?
And I call on you and I said, come on forward, sit at this table. You're a participant. Yeah? And you may have walked right through the camera stream there without realizing there was a camera and people looking at what's going on here.
No, I just realized there was a camera when I sat here at the table.
And then you saw the camera.
Yeah, all of that.
Okay, yeah. So the moral of the story is here, there's so much more happening than you realize, which is quite disruptive for the online participant, right?
Well, probably.
Or for the on-site participants,
yeah,
sorry.
For the on-site, yeah.
Yeah, I'm paying so much attention to them. They took so much of our time. Speechless.
Yeah.
So the depth of conversation gets disrupted by things that happen in the room. Right? Now I'm just kind of stringing things together that happened, right? Because when a conversation happens in a group of people and somebody else joins in the conversation, what happens to that conversation? It stops, or you feel like you're disrupting a going flow of conversation, right? So you may lose some depth. How easy is it to have a good conversation with 5 or 6 people around the table like this, like you're sitting now? Or did it start off with 2 people talking to each other and a third person joining whilst they were in a linear process?
it's okay about 5 people or 2 people if they have common interests and common topic and involving in that topic. And we figured some large benefits for live participants, on-site participants as well, emotional, involving, and that on-site participants have such an opportunities of online, using online as well as.
And how did you feel when they changed the topic or they started a new connection and the technology guys are trying to fix what they're starting and the speaker all of a sudden turns around and watches the other person? And what happened to your depth of conversation?
We deepened in conversation by each other, just.
You focused on the fact that you were here, on site, you didn't need mics, you didn't need cameras, you didn't need audio.
We can speak to maybe to some speakers who are not on the scene just now.
Yeah. So you could have spoken to speakers that may have been in the audience as well, right? Interacted with them over the coffee break and had a good conversation about what they just spoke about, and the show just moves on and go deeper and deeper. Excellent. This is just one topic out of 11. Imagine the amount of stuff that you can think about in this. It's very fascinating. Shall we move on or keep going deeper? What do you feel? Move on? Yeah? Next one? Okay, let's do the next lottery ticket because one number is not going to win any lotteries, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, remote audience, you don't get a choice in the topic. That's just your problem. Who's the next one that gets to choose a topic here? Not the meeting owner, they always determine the agenda. The participant on site, look at this. Aha. Now we have an interesting one. Let me just quickly pull up the slide that has this one. Okay, so explain to us what it says on your slide, and I'll look it up. Written?
Written in text.
Okay, so it's this one. So let me quickly explore this one before we go into it. So imagine this right bubble is actually something in writing that you have in front of you. It could be the piece of paper, or it could be a document. It could be the explanation of what we're doing. It's a written something, or it's a message written from one to many, or one to one. Okay, that's written. The other thing are thoughts. Okay, not written. Let's consider not written as the other thing. What does that mean to you? Right? What does written versus not written mean to you? Okay? And these guys are bringing in the big guns here, the technical producers, because I think we have a remote participant dressed up like a robot that has just joined us here on a what's it called? A double. And is there somebody behind what's this represents?
So this allows remote attendees.
Hello.
Hello.
The robot walked into the room.
This would allow one of you guys remotely to connect to it. We would see your face on there, and you could drive it around, talk to people, try to run them over. My girlfriend did that. And essentially, yeah, it's trying to get you as close as possible to the actual experience.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's really cool. Who else thinks that's cool? Do you think it's cool? Another disruption, right? We were just getting to the depth of this topic, and here walks in this stupid robot, this nice robot, dressed up with something, and it pulls away the attention from everybody in the room, right? It pulls away the attention, right? Imagine we were having a written conversation with each other versus non-written, okay? So now have this conversation in your room, in your perspective. So meeting owners think about written and non-written, yeah? The speakers are going to be thinking about written and non-written. What does that mean, written and non-written, to you as a speaker? Okay? I can see the brain already going on the technical side of things here. Written versus non-written. So just to explain quickly the concept, you're taking the perspective of a technical producer of a hybrid event, and you're talking about the function of communication, of whether it's written or non-written, right? How do you use that in a hybrid event, that function? Here they're writing already and they're tweeting and they're doing all sorts of stuff, and the robot is joining the conversation somehow. But here, written, non-written, how does that work for you? What does that mean for you? What do you do with that information? And here, on-site participant, what do you do with written, non-written? Okay? Let's take 4 minutes and explore this. Yes.
Speaking versus writing.
I'm saying written versus non-written. You explore what that means. The remote audience is not clear on the question. So either the remote audience was distracted by the robot and not paying attention enough, or what if I would have provided the question in writing to you? There was a briefing somewhere that was just sent to you. You could read that at your own pace. You would have had the information at the same time as they did, because if I would have said it to you, it would have been 20 seconds late. Explore that. Yeah? Written versus non-written. Okay? What does that mean in contribution, in conservation, in all sorts of concepts? Yeah? And remote participants, while we're having the discussions at the tables here with 5 different perspectives. So the meeting owners, the technical producers, we have the on-site users, the online users. We're now exploring 4 minutes the concept of written versus non-written information. I need a different mic, so I'm checking. So I will just have to double check the audio, make sure you can hear it well, and I just get a nod from the technical guys that are over on this side of the room that it's all working fine. So we're talking about written versus non-written. So think about what is the difference between writing to each other and documenting things and giving your feedback, or doing it verbally, right? So you have to use your audio connection. You could not have your dog barking in the back, or maybe there's an issue plugging the sound back in and it disrupts the flow here. Maybe you could write something that's disruptive for what's happening in the room. Or maybe you'll write it just to your friends on the other chat, or you write it on the wall in the pod where you are, and the people in the room can't see it. What does that mean? Think about these concepts of written versus non-written, and how does that affect the way that you think about and the way that you act at hybrid events. So we'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. We'll monitor the conversations here. We're in room 5.1 at EABTM in Barcelona. The weather outside is quite sunshiny, which you didn't see this morning. And it's a busy, busy trade show floor. Some of the people that have come into the room are looking forward to being part of the hybrid experience, which is live streamed for the full day from room 5.1, which is called the Fresh Track. So we'll be back with 2 more subjects after this one. 2 is this, not this. I'm trying to prove a hypothesis. Okay. I know you can take it. This is a vocal group. I think they can handle it. Did you?
And in that point,
What is it right now? I think I'll get myself a cup of coffee.
This is
in the live stream?
In the live stream.
Okay, I was just explaining. Did you just join back in?
He's not using the chat channel that EIBTM might propose, but this is a real live stream chat.
Okay, excellent. Let me go and talk to them. Yeah. So, welcome Henk for joining the show as a remote audience. We were just explaining quickly what we're doing. We actually needed to go back to the show here, but since you're a remote participant, we will acknowledge your requests. And just to explain to you, we're now talking about written versus non-written as a concept of communication for hybrid events. What does it mean for the speaker? What does it mean for the meeting owner, technical production, for the on-site people, and for the people remotely? So hopefully you can think about this and contribute your tweets and text. And in that way we can have the session attention again here. So
I'll watch the live
okay, and the meeting owner is going to take care of you, not to worry. He's all over your requests. So off we go, back to the room. Who feels strongly about which one is better? Is there a preference, one over the other? Speakers. Technical production, we need attention for the speakers, please. Check microphone 1, 2, 3. Check microphone 1, 2, 3. The speakers would like to speak now. Everybody ready? Okay, off we go.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know, am I on?
Do we have a mic on the speaker? So this is the technical guys there. Yeah, check.
So, yeah.
Maybe we'll use this one.
Yeah, cool, that's all.
There we go.
So just to sum up, because we had a really good talk about this, I think if you're a speaker and you're kind of nervous or you're on unfamiliar territory, you tend to write it down. Just think of family occasions when like your speech to the bride or whatever, you don't want to screw that up, so you write it down. But it makes it often less authentic. It doesn't encourage dialogue with the audience, and there's no spontaneity. So these are some of the things that are in favor of having a non-written talk.
Okay.
And we think actually maybe the best is to have a mix, maybe a few slides to make sure that you don't drift away like you did here. So you stay on track and keep the narrative structure, but still you talk in a non-written way about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
So those are some of the pros and cons. And
which of the speakers actually took notes and wrote something down whilst they were thinking?
We have notes.
Yeah, we have notes. No, what else? What we said is...
Remote participants, please pay attention. Thank you.
Exactly.
I'm picking on that a little bit, speakers, because they're not paying attention to you. Okay.
The remote ones, that's what I'm going to talk about. That's why they should pay attention. It's the questions they are shooting in. It's probably, since they are not visible,
yes,
and they ask more critical questions as they would do if they
more
are
distance
in the audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
So the speakers would also be, or have to be prepared
to take some sharp questions.
Right.
Okay. So do we have any sharp questions from those remote participants, or how did the speaker actually get the question, and how do you put it into a context, right? Because now I know, okay, the question came from the speaker, they're sitting from this perspective, we're talking about written and text. We're in context and everybody immediately connects to the issue, right? Somebody just switched on, Henk, who was explaining the content. Is he still with us? Henk?
Yes, Henk is here, yes. He's a bit of a pain in the...
Is he a bit of a pain?
Yeah.
So Henk, please, help us prove our hypothesis. Are remote participants a pain in the neck or not? And this is very friendly, not to worry. We're just playing around a little bit. And the speakers actually just said that if you cannot look the person that asked the question in the whites of the eyes, it makes you feel less comfortable. They could be asking me a question that's very direct or very disruptive or very controversial, and they wouldn't have to stand for the fact that they asked the question, right? Anybody experienced this before in real time at an event? Did it happen at Fresh? Yes? So we need a mic here for the meeting owner. Here we go, check 1, 2, 3. The meeting owner, I can hand the mic, I think. No, go ahead. I think the meeting owner.
Actually, what we think
30
is
seconds.
that with the text, you have a little bit better control over the questions, because when someone just raises the hand and asks the question, you then lose the control over what he's asking. But with the written text, you might have the moderator, you might have people voting for the best questions. So it can get actually a little, like you can better choose the best questions. But what we discuss is that the disadvantage of this is you might lose some kind of context. If you want to get really deep question and good conversation, maybe the text is not able to explain it very well, and then the speaker, he will not really understand the kind of meaning, the question.
So I cannot ask a clarifying additional question to your question. Do you mean this? Can I validate that did I answer your question properly, right?
Exactly.
How do I as a speaker know that I've answered your question properly? What's my feedback channel to that person, right? And how long does that take? How does it make them feel?
And our experience actually is that the people, when the speaker asks like, who asked the question, could you clarify? Then the people are like, okay.
Not in the room.
They try to hide.
Yeah, there's no avatar picture, just an egg. Very good points. Very difficult for the speakers, yeah, but very interesting. Because imagine you can capture the question, you could pre-discuss the question, you could research the question, you could draw a picture about the question, you could ask additional questions to the question, and then have it tackled by the team off-site, and by the time you get back to the actual answer, it's documented, published, and ready to go. Yeah? How about that? How about somebody asks a question, there's 1,000 questions, and you only have time for 3? Right? What would the technical producers do? Let me go over this way. What did you discuss when you were talking about written versus conversation, or audio versus writing? Was anything coming up on your table? Let me ask the technical producers. Because we have many questions to them, but they need to learn how to ask questions to us, right? Come on, challenge us.
Yeah, mainly the time that is you lose and the directness with written text.
Okay.
And people in the room live is a big difference. So how can you improve that situation?
So the directness of it, the time to reaction, the fact you have to capture it and maybe process it and put it somewhere, or maybe you have to curate it or translate it or check out the spelling errors.
And that yes, but also the time and when you go when you have a lot of people online and they need to respond to each other, that's in text. Text is all the only thing you can do that at the moment.
Text is quicker, is it?
I don't know. It's the only thing.
So
I think
you talk, I talk, you talk, I talk. It's sequential, right?
That's talking. Talking is quicker. When
Is
you have
talking
to type,
quicker?
If you have to type, you lose time with typing and reading.
Ah, interesting. Is that right? How do you?
Oh, you can. Of course, you can.
I just broke
the advantage of text is that you can store it and you can re-evaluate it later. So that's an improvement.
You can store it, you can capture it, you can redisseminate it, you can assess it, you can search it.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good points.
You don't say you can store.
Let's get the mic, otherwise the remote participants won't hear us.
You can also say that you can store spoken text as well, because generally, a lot of my events, all the vocals are captured as well.
Excellent. So vocals are being captured, and here's one of the. What do you do at your events?
What do we do?
With the audio component.
With the audio component, what do we do with it? We store it on YouTube. You can basically go into our website and you can find pretty much our event history.
Yes, but here's one thing that surprised me at your events. So just to clarify, Internet Society does a lot of events with hybrid components. All the events are live transcribed, or most of the events that are participants. So there's always a second screen where everything that's being said is being written simultaneously. And people can actually, if you jumped in late, you could scroll back and read what has just been said. Or if you didn't really understand what was just said, I can still read it somewhere. So it's like a closed caption. Yeah?
One other thing that I'd point out is when we use the multiple screen, we have one dedicated for Jabber.
Time out, Howie. Our disruptive remote audience is interconnecting again. Fantastic, because they could have been doing it in writing or in audio.
Yeah.
Let's pay attention there for a minute.
When we've used Jabber Chat Room on a second screen.
Jabber Chat Room means it's a chat room.
Live messaging, whatever. So
Okay.
the external component they can contact the speaker.
Yes.
And we don't do it directly. We'd have a moderator, and the best results I've ever seen with this is by using a moderator with a journalistic background who can
Yes.
also, as you're talking about disruptive questions and disruptive tables, he can actually manipulate the questions slightly to make it more palatable to the speaker.
So one of the requests I had to the organizers was, I would like an aquarium, please, to put over this table, right? That would create a bubble here of audio insulation, right? Those things exist actually, really cool igloos. Yes.
This is what can actually happen.
Yes.
If the remote participant is not engaged, he will start to talk with the neighbor.
Here's an interesting concept, right? So I'm distracted. I have something that's
Thanks,
more
Paul.
interesting to say, or there's something I want to say
You-
now.
You need to make sure that everybody gets engaged in the session, right?
Yes.
So this is something that is a bit of a challenge.
Yes.
And I think that you're trying hard. But in the end, remote participants will always be a pain if they are not actually engaged in the session.
Well, if I can piggyback on that.
Yeah, let's go. It's ping pong.
I'm
I like
actually
this ping
talking
pong.
to Hank here. He is a remote participant, and he's in the live chat from live stream, and he's actually very happy that I'm talking to him. But I'm not so sure because he's distracting me. He's happy that he's talking to me. He's got my personal attention now. Hank, I love you, but still, he's taking some of my brain power away, and I need to type and answer him, and I'm missing what you are saying. But he seems to be very happy that I'm giving him personal attention, and I think that is something we all need. I mean, it's very nice to have a text conversation if you don't know who's listening or who you're talking to. But
So
I think
where
as soon as it gets personal, he's immediately very happy and engaged and starts talking to me. I don't have time for you, Hank. I mean, I need to listen to this stuff here, right?
You're the meeting owner. You want to make sure everything goes right here, right? Who's your priority? Them or us?
If Hank would be blonde and
okay, let's not go there.
No.
This audio message has been censored and will no longer appear in the closed captions. Yes, please continue.
It is a challenge because I mean I'm thinking if every one of us would have a headset and one person would be online talking to one person here, this could work now because we have a same amount of people online as we have in the room here. Would that work? I don't know. I think it's a challenge to get everybody engaged.
Let me just give you another suggestion.
Yes.
That I would display in this big screen here the Twitter.
The Twitter.
The tweets, yes, because I think the tweets accomplish a lot in this hybrid session, which is leveling the participation from people that are outside and inside, right? So I can still be
Direct stream, hashtag EIBTM
Yes,
hybrid,
yes.
everything on the screen.
Everything on the screen, and then we focus the conversation whenever we find an interesting tweet, regardless of being from remote or face-to-face, and everyone with focus. So we have a common focus for the group.
Okay, interesting point. So Kerry's going,
No, I think this way is working better, that somebody, in this case me, is moderating the tweets and selecting a bit and trying to get this guy, which we think as online participants is getting a bit irritating.
The online participants are getting irritating?
No, you
Oh,
as a MC.
I'm annoying the online participants.
You're quite irritating us because we are wondering if you at all want to have online participants.
Oh, good point. You shouldn't care about me. You should care maybe about who's it important to?
The meeting owner, and we
let's ask him.
Yeah,
Let's ask them.
meeting owner. Who is most important for you, your program or your participants, whether they are online or are physically present? But we get the slight idea that you don't care we have a strong idea that you don't care that much about any participant, but more about your own control.
Good dilemma.
Yeah.
So let's hear from the meeting owner. How do you work with this? What is your opinion?
I can understand that you feel neglected. Yes. But exactly the same is happening to the on-site participants. So it's really evaluating if you have a meeting where you have both, or you have one where you just have one and not the other. But me personally, I think it is very difficult to find a balancing act between on-site and off-site participants. And it's here, I mean, the pain in the neck. At the moment, I think for the on-site participants, the pain in the neck is the event owners, because they want to have it all. And it's finding out whether we can have it all or not.
I think you can, but you need to design it for both. And
Yeah.
what you did was designing the live event and just take us, because somebody told you perhaps that we need to be here, but you're not really integrating us in your design, I think.
Because you're giving us a headache at the moment on technical aspects.
How does that feel for your budget or for your
and costs?
What is
yeah.
it? What is the feeling from this table? Because they've been awfully quiet, our participants on site, and I think a lot of the sessions, and we want engagement, and people want a conversation and depth and search and knowledge, and you are the brains in the room.
We're so polite listening to all the rest.
They're so politely listening to what's happening around them. Yes. Let me get a mic quickly here. Yeah, there we go.
I don't know. I'm just thinking, but if it's always, you know, there is something going on the stage, there's something going on and questions from the audience on site, there are also interruptive questions from coming outside. Maybe it's about defining sections where you have a session only for online participants.
Let's have a vote. Let's have a vote. If we could redesign the conversation around this last topic, what would we change, and would we still have the live audience or not? Do we need them? They're a pain in the neck, aren't they? They're even silent, they're not even telling me what they're thinking. It's really scary. Are they the pain in the neck?
No, we cannot be the pain in the neck.
You cannot be the pain in the neck. Let's get the mic here. They cannot be the pain in the neck because the outsiders can't even hear them if they don't speak through the mic.
That's right, actually. That's a very good command, because actually those people who come for a live event and they're on-site participants, they actually pay much more than those people who are actually online.
Really?
So we actually bring them money. So, and we are the one who is originally designed for, and those people who join online, they already go like an
They
addition.
piggyback on your knowledge. They're just like intruders from the outside.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's hear from them. So what made you not travel to the event and now being an remote participant? Let's get some views here.
Well, it seems like money rules.
Money rules.
You pay, you get a voice.
You pay, you get a voice. Who loves those events where you pay and you get a voice?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
We're neglected. We're not taken seriously. We have a complex.
And there's actually a split personality in the room. I'd just like to acknowledge that the two twin brothers are now participating in the same conference over here, okay? And they're getting yet more attention.
Actually, to me, it's content. If an event it's all about content, I do remote. If it's the event, it's more about something else that I don't just have to consume content. I go there. That's my point.
So, by design, if content is the driving factor and I'm looking to share very specific content, would I like to sit in the back of the room and have a mediocre picture of what's happening and maybe have the air conditioning blowing in my neck? Or would I like to sit in my comfortable office with my own fresh coffee and a nice surround sound system and a crystal clear HD picture projected on a big wall, right? Just for myself. And my friends maybe, we'll watch together, right? So by design, it's a different event. Very interesting concept, okay? Guys, I have bad news for you. The bad news is the lottery was supposed to have 4 tickets. We've covered 2, and we have 3 minutes left. Okay? So by design, we have an error in how many functions of communication we'd like to cover. Allow me to do the following, if I may. First, I'm going to get your comment, because I think you have a question, right? I can tell by the expression that he has a comment or a question. We'll take one more question from the online participants. We'll have your votes. Give us a vote, thumbs up or thumbs down. Are you a pain in the neck or are you not a pain in the neck? Are you instrumental to the success of what's going to happen in meetings and events in the future, right? Oh, we've actually got a Twitter stream up here now, which I wasn't aware of. And so now I need to pay attention here and here, and I'm all over the place. This is really scary for me as a speaker, as a moderator. So he's harvesting more participants for you. free ice cream for everybody in the room. Okay, so there's treats that you cannot send through the pipeline that you can get on site, right? And the treats are usually very good conversations with people face to face. Yeah. So would you consider coming to the session next year, or coming to the session in the future if there was ice cream? And if so, how much of it, and what type of ice cream? Yeah?
Chocolate.
Okay, or chocolate. Okay. So, all craziness aside, Martin, let's have your comment.
Yeah, just the last comment from the speaker's point of view. I think it's interesting, as a social convention, we have some pretty strict rules about who's speaking in the room. Usually it comes down to who has the mic, right? Or who are the moderator talking or pointing to, right?
Who are they prioritizing?
Or you will say, now go do group sessions and you have 4 minutes. So it's really strict, and there's a strict convention that's constantly adjusted, right? And agreed upon.
Yes.
Whereas the online world is just constantly
Chaos.
on, right? It's actually kind of rude. And just look at how much attention they've gotten in this session here, right?
Yeah.
And it is breaking the convention of that we're used to as going to conventions or conferences so many times. So it just occurred to me that this always on versus the really strict rules in this room is a total clash. And I think maybe that's where the pain lies, right? And that's, I think, why many events just turn it off, right? You know, you can go to Twitter if you want to see it. I'm not going to put it up there because it's just going to totally screw up my flow here. So maybe, I don't know, it's just an observation, I think, that we've seen play out pretty well here.
So
now you can talk.
Thank you. So I think we've had many perspectives. I still feel my on-site audience is really disappointed at the amount of voice that they got, but I think they're processing a lot of information. And as we're going to have the ice cream afterward, now I wish we had planned that. I think the meeting owner is running out for some ice cream. No, he's not. No, he's still sitting behind his computer. May actually have those conversations post-event. Okay. So the purpose of this event. Let's quickly switch back to the slide deck, because there's way too much information that I can process right now here on this screen. So we're switching quickly back to the slide desk. Okay, good. There's a couple that we missed, and I'd quickly like to run you through. Leave me your card, and we'll send you the actual full overview of what was in that research study. You can also download the executive summary and case studies and all the other stuff if you like. But just to run you through those really quickly in summary, we said search, right? So this is one we missed, search. Searching or capturing content in audio, video, or text makes it searchable and archivable in ways that was not possible before. You could translate it much easier if it's written versus audio, right? That's just another example of what you could do. The availability of tagged content on demand after it has been delivered is a valuable asset, right? So if you can say that conversation pertains to the role of a speaker in a hybrid event, and we isolate the snippets of information you shared, could give me the focus of a 90-minute session very quickly, okay? If I were searching for that after the event. Good, some other ones. So we had, this was one we had, share a voice, right? Whoever has the mic, right, has the attention, or thinks they have the attention. But then we also said that he who pays needs to have the priority, right? But do you pay for attention, or do you pay for the experience that you're designing for them? Because if it's content that I want to design, I may want to do it online. And if it's really about meeting other people and having an experience, that may be much more on-site. Some other ones, the scalability of the message. So here we had room for, 300 people? This room? Who would have stopped this from just adding people and piling people on and having 3 million people watch this session? Well, we're not terribly interesting, so nobody would watch us. We're not controversial enough. We don't disseminate enough pain to have that amount of attention. But technically, is that possible, Paul? Live stream, you've got everything switched on. What's the sky's the limit, or how far can you go?
Sorry,
so scalability, if people, like how many people could you connect through the camera with this setup that we have here today? Is there a limit?
No, there's no limit.
It scales up very high. Okay, yeah. What if each of them would pay just a tiny little bit? And you can get much more and serve them much better. Mm-hmm. Maybe that could be another option to explore. Good. So many different things. The sense of belonging, right? So I was in the session. Were you in the session? Oh, I was in the session. Remember the session? It was such a nice session. We were in the session. We were at Fresh together, so you must be a nice person, right? Or you were at the conference, you were at EIBTM in Barcelona, so you must want to belong to that community. You must have something to do with that community. Or if you don't feel that connected, you may just connect remotely because you don't know the community yet and may consider going there next time. Good. And this is probably the most important one, the attention, right? What attention do you feel you're getting from others that are listening to you? Or how much attention are you getting from the speakers, from the meeting owner, from the device that's going crazy? Just really depending on how it makes you happy or less happy as you go along. Good. So what does this mean in practice? And I have a remote participant coming at me here. This is a scary thought. Herdy, you're in two places at the same time. I would like to test and quickly validate this. Here, let me show you the details of what you missed when you were on site. Hybrid meetings. Are remote participants a pain in the neck? Do you think we've come up with some good pain relievers? Okay, don't tell me yet. Stop. Time out. What I'd like to do is ask the same thing. By meeting all these people in the room today and having discussed this topic, do you feel like you won at least 2 numbers in the lottery out of 11? Because I'd like to see your reaction in a minute, and I'll take another picture and we'll judge the difference between picture A at the beginning of if I would won the lottery, this is what I look like, and the last picture, which is I feel like I participated in something that almost felt like winning a lottery, or it was so boring I'll just walk out and won't even be on the picture. Okay? So on the count of 3, I would like to record what you feel. So go ahead and prepare yourself, right? So on the count of 3, we'll do the same exercises in the beginning. And for those that weren't here, the expression we were looking for is what would it feel like if you won the lottery, right? What would you look like if you won the lottery? Okay? And remote participants, feel free to take a picture of whatever you do when you win the lottery. Or better yet, show us what it looks like after you participate in this session. Good. So on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hey. I think by design you have excelled. You have extrapolated the essence of the functions of communication of hybrid events, at least 2 of the 11. I want to thank you for your brain power, for your patience. To the remote audience, you don't know what you missed by not being in the room. You were not a pain in the neck. We acknowledge, and we really acknowledge that what you did is pretty phenomenal. And look at yourselves. Give yourselves a big hand of applause. This is what you've achieved here today. So a big round of applause for yourself. This is what you've done by design. Well done. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of EIBTM.